7:59 a.m.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So, I was making a video today, planned up early, and it's a walk in Guardamar that I fancy doing. But it's super windy. It's a beautiful day and it's nice temperature, but it's so windy you couldn't believe it. The last 2 days were really cold, jumpers and coats on, couldn't believe it. But now all of a sudden it's warm. As soon as the sun comes out it's warm. But yeah, very very windy. It's just died down there a wee bit. And of course the problem with the wind is, if I go out in a nice wide open space like I'm planning on doing, the wind will affect the camera. You maybe not be able to hear anything I say. That may be a good thing. No, it'd be a bit boring, wouldn't it? I think we'll leave it to tomorrow, so see you in the morning.
Early the next morning.
It's windy again. I've had to wait for a wee break in the wind to do this because it's so windy and it's colder. It's sort of disrupting my week a bit. Can't complain for the weather too much, I suppose, but this is a work day. Yesterday was a work day. Make a video today, edit it either today or tomorrow. I'll take Molly for a walk and video myself and see, come back and listen to it and see what it's like wind-wise, and then make a decision, because I would love to do this video today. It's a lovely walk I'm going to go on and a few things to talk about. Oh, right, so I don't know if it can be noticed from this distance, but the wind's so strong. The roundabout fountain is getting blown to the left miles. Maybe it's easier to see at night. No, probably not. Walk time, Molly, walk.
1 minute 37 seconds later.
Such a beautiful day, and a beautiful day for a walk. So, if this sounds okay, I'll go and do a walk. But very, very, very windy and a bit nippy. So the problem is, if you make a video, you do a lot of recording and then discover that there's a problem and you can't use it, it's terrible, because trying to repeat the same thing doesn't work. Second time rounds are never good. Hard to remember. You keep trying to remember what you're going to say. I've made that mistake a few times, so I'm trying not to make it. Seems to calm down a wee bit. He must have lost his farm. Turned the wrong corner. This is a dog park, and it's only one of 2 places I know. Luckily it is a dog park, so I can sit and let her run about. I'll do a shouty version of that just because it's so windy, just in case. So this is one of the only 2 places, one of the only two places where you can sit, where there's a seat, a proper seat. So, because I can sit here, Molly is hiding behind that tree. No, Molly can run about. Very few seats, it's amazing. You telling me it's time to go? I think you're telling me it's time to go. Getting windier again. I've also learnt that it's very hard to get information on the wind online. Weather forecast gives you wind, just can't figure out if it just doesn't help. So, had to give up on the walk. I'll do it another time. So I had to sit and think about how to film the rest of the video. Now, I'm not a complainer. I am definitely not a complainer. No matter where you go in the world, people do things differently. So I've decided to go through a few things that drive you a wee bit nuts about Spain. But this is not criticising Spain. No matter where you go, you can find all these faults. I could find a whole load of faults, well, a whole load of faults where I come from in Northern Ireland. But these are just a few things that if I was king for the day of Spain, I'd sort them out. Alright? So, no particular order. I'm going to start off with driving. Now, as I always say, I go to Thailand, and the driving in Thailand's crazy, but it sort of works because everyone drives crazy, and it's like a system. But here, 50% of people are really good drivers and 50% of people are horrendous drivers. Now remember, I'm a driving instructor. Was a driving instructor. So, just a couple of points. Roundabouts. When you drive up the roundabout, if you're going to eventually be going west and there's two lanes, you approach in the left-hand lane with your left-hand indicator on and you're going the inside of the roundabout. If you're going to turn right, you stay in the right-hand lane and you approach the roundabout with your right-hand indicator on and you go right. If you're going to go straight ahead, there's a few different scenarios that can happen, but generally you try to stay in the right-hand lane to go straight ahead. In Spain, at least 50% of people, no matter what way they're going in a roundabout, go into the right-hand lane and go right around the outside of the roundabout, and it is so dangerous. You have to be really aware of what's going on, because you're going around the inside, somebody outside you, you're expecting them to go off, to go straight ahead or whatever, but no, they keep coming and you can't cut across. So in other words, if you're doing it properly, it can be quite dangerous and you have to have your wits about you. So I don't understand that. And a big roundabout with the fountain, I've watched now 2 driving instructors doing it with learners. So I don't know how they explain that to the learners, how they can justify it, that's right. Another thing is, indicator, they'll put the right indicator on to leave and you keep turning around and drive past all the exits, so not good. The other aspect of driving, which is drive you mad in Spain, is the vast majority of people aren't very helpful. You don't get waved out. Whenever you come up on the slip road on the dual carriageway, certainly the way I taught and the way I was taught and the way it is, if you're coming up the slip road and someone's in the other lane, they'll either ease off or they'll move out. Here, everyone will keep coming. You can end up stopped, and it's happened to me a couple of times at the end of the slip road because you just can't get into the lane. So Spain could improve that. I would change that. Is this driving? This is another one. Zebra crossings. Zebra crossings, I don't know how they're meant to work. Well, they're ignored by cars. Pedestrians will walk up. There's zebra around here. There's zebra crossings at every junction. And if you were walking straight down the road and you're going to cross a street, you have to actually bend, come up the street a bit to get to the crossing. And pedestrians do that, but I don't know why they bother doing it, because the cars just go right through anyway. So maybe it's a rule, but it seems to be the cars have right away at zebra crossings, which I don't really understand. If I remember rightly, I think France was like that too. Right? So next, and again, I'm not criticising Spain. These are just a few things that I would change. So next, stuff doesn't get finished off very well. Roads don't get finished very well. Footpaths don't, buildings don't. Everything sort of gets finished to a certain standard and left. In my apartment, there isn't anything on the wall like a towel rack or the soap rack or anything that doesn't wobble. And no matter where you go, it's the same. Outside, lovely brick floors you see from a distance, but when you walk on them, they're all over the place and they're not finished at the sides. There's drains that come out and they're using too big a drain pipe, and it's just all a mess. I could go through 100 different things like that. Nothing's finished very well. Everything's a wee bit off. The walls between apartments, they're not double skinned with insulation between them or anything. It's like wafer thin. You can hear everything everybody says. Well, you can see it in the buildings when they're building the buildings. They're very, very skimpy. You get that in a lot of places in the world, of course. But yeah, they could do a bit better job finishing off the buildings. Next door to this apartment, there's another. They're going to be building another complex, and they filled the ground in over the last few weeks, and they've just built an electric box. And the electric box is slightly crooked, and all that stuff just seems to be okay, allowed. What else? Yeah, then you get things like parks. There's one at the roundabout that they're just finishing off, and it's beautiful. But on the other side of the roundabout, there's one that's been done in quite a long time. When you go in there, it's all run down, everything's left, and nothing's done too well. You have pipes that should be below ground, above ground, and all the black, I don't know what you call that stuff to stop weeds coming through. They haven't put enough stuff on top, and it's all over the place. And everywhere you go, it's like that. So it's just like, that'll do. There seems to be a that'll do syndrome. The guys who built the box for the hotel next door, the place has been enabled really, really neat. And whenever they finish building the box, they've just left all their rubbish lying, rocks and pallets all lying, and just left it all lying there. So in this apartment block, the post boxes, only about half of them, the key works, but nobody sorts it out or fixes it. God, that was a bit of a gripe, that one. Right, what else? Is there anything else? Rubbish. There's just rubbish everywhere. This again can't be everybody. I'm sure the biggest percentage of people are do everything properly, but there doesn't seem to be any problem with throwing your rubbish out the window or in behind walls and dumping stuff. You'll see bins on one side of the road and rubbish dumped on the other side of the road that could have been put in the bins. That's all over the place, that's everywhere you go. And again, it just seems to be reasonably well accepted, and people mustn't get in trouble for doing it. Next, rubbish bread. The bread's rubbish. Whenever you go in the bakeries and the likes of Lidl, they've got these fantastic counters and there's stuff in them I like, but all the breads, they all look different, they all look fantastic, they all taste exactly the same, and that's no taste. Bread is not good. Pan bread and normal bread you get in packets, very hard to get it fresh, very, very hard. In fact, I don't remember, for a while I bought packets of bread and then I stopped to just go for the rolls of tasteless bread. Right? Well, next is dog poo. Dog poo, you can't walk down the street. I have walked in it because when you're from places that you really don't have dogs poo in the street, you get into the habit of looking. So I've walked on it a few times, but there's times that there's just dog poo everywhere, you know, and you have to really be careful to avoid it. Someone does clean it up at some point, because I was going to film a few bits of poo today for this video, so I took Molly out for a walk and it was all gone, so they do clean it up. But again, you just see people walking up with their dog does poo, and they just walk on, no embarrassment, no shyness about it. But I'm sure there's a law. Next, yeah, I mentioned this earlier on, lack of seats. I don't know if it's the same in everywhere in Spain, but in this whole area of Guatemala, I only know two seats you can sit on. So you go down to lovely parks and roundabout, and you could just sit in the sun. I'd love to sit here and have a look around me and watch the traffic go by. No seats. Don't know why. Must be a reason. There has to be a reason, because there's places that you think you definitely put seats there. Oh God, I've done more complaining than I thought I was going to do. I'm quite happy. I don't actually go about being annoyed about things. These are just things that you notice. The driving annoys me. Because you're right, it's a wee bit unsafe because of bad drivers. You know, as I said at the start, different cultures, people think differently. You know, whenever I went to Thailand, about the third time I was there, I realised Thai people think completely differently. Just a completely different way of looking at things. The morals are in a different place. Their way of looking at life is different. Far more chilled out. I like their way. But it's so different, and it's very easy to get into misunderstandings with people. So no wonder governments around the world can't seem to get along, because whenever one says something that they think's reasonable, the other one takes it as an insult, and that's just the way it is, you know. Although you think they'd be on top of that by now. Amazing how different cultures are. And the final one, I've talked about it a few times, it's just the lack of acknowledging you in the street and the odd nod or smile. It just doesn't happen, you know. And I still do it. I still give the big smile, and people look at you like you're daft. The worst ones are someone who looks at you and you look, you smile, they turn your head away. So there you go. I thought I'd do a bit of griping. This is not a reflection of Spain, because if I go home to Northern Ireland, I could do a list 10 times longer than this. In fact, I would say Spain has relatively few things. I can't think of anything else that could possibly annoy me. Everything else is great. That got me out of any trouble I may be in for some of the things I've said. So there you go. That was a different type of video. A few minutes on wind, and then me finding faults with Spain, which I don't really have any faults with Spain. I like being here, I enjoy Spain, but it's just as I say, everywhere you go is different. So I'm going to leave it off there. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe would be great, thumbs up would be great, hit the wee bell icon so it tells you when my next video is out, leave a comment, any of those things help the channel. But until next time, bye for now.